happiness is knowing that there's a cake in the oven. Today we're baking up one of my godmother's chocolate clementine cakes and 2 of my treasured recipes, a lemon raspberry cupcake and a spiced cranberry apple ham pie. Hi guys, so today we're going to be baking up a delicious chocolate clementine cake. This is one of my godmother's treasured recipes. I have 300 grams. I will obviously convert this recipe, but all of these ingredients measurements are all in UK with grams and everything like that, so that might confuse some people, but I'll be sure to change it. So I have 300 grams of sugar. And then I have about a stick and a half worth of butter. Get in there. And then I'm going to do the zest of 3 clementine mandarins. So my godmother Jill, hi Jill, every time I go back home to the UK and I spend time with her, me and Jill always bake something, whether it's a Victoria sponge or this chocolate clementine cake or cupcakes or fairy cakes. We are always baking, and I feel like that's not the only, but one of the many reasons why me and her get along so well is that we both love to bake just as much as each other. And yeah, I wanted to do this cake for her and for me because it's really good. I'm now going to add 280 grams of ground almonds. I'm going to add half of it to this now. I'm going to mix this. I'm now going to go ahead and crack in 5 eggs. Come here. Nope, to you in there. I'm gonna give that a mix now. I'm gonna go ahead and add the remaining ground almonds. And then I have here 100 grams of flour I'm gonna go ahead and add to it too. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a pinch of sea salt. Give that a mix. Lovely. Oh, also, shout out to Carla Palermo for making my fabulous new apron that I love dearly. I have a, what is this one? I think it's a 9 or 10 inch cake pan that I've gone ahead. It's a springform one, they're easier. And I've lined it with parchment. I have the oven temperature preheated at 325. I am going to bake it for about an hour, but I'm going to check it halfway and see how we're going. You know, this doesn't look chocolatey, but you get a really yummy chocolate glaze that's about to go on top of it once it's cooled. I'm going to evenly spread it around the pan. Any air out of it, I'm gonna do one loud bang. Ready? Done. So there it is. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the oven for an hour. We'll be back shortly. All right, so while the cake is in the oven cooking and being delicious, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the hot citrus syrup that we're going to, once it's out of the oven, while it's still warm, I will pour this over the top of it so it'll submerge into the cake and make it moist and delicious. Okay, so I've got 3 clementines, the ones that I zested. I'm gonna go ahead and juice them. Citrus facial. I have a really funny memory. The last time I made this cake with my godmother, I was thinking it was going to be a wonderful bonding moment. But no, I ended up making the entire cake the entire time while she was on a Zoom with my other godmother. I was like, you're the only woman who I would do this for. All right, I'm also going to go ahead and add the juice of 1 lemon. And then I have 80 grams of sugar here. I'm going to go ahead and add to this saucepan. So I'm going to go ahead and let that come to a boil and let the sugar dissolve. Okay, we're coming to a lovely boil. Boil, 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 trouble. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pour it into this mug. And set that aside, and then I'm going to get started on the chocolate glaze. I have a double boiler here, which is basically a saucepan with probably about 1.5 inches of water that I've brought to a boil, and I go ahead and add a heat-proof glass dish in there, and I'm going to go ahead and add in, I have 150 grams of dark chocolate here. I'll have that one. 90 grams of butter. Okay. Calm yourself. Settle. And I'm going to also add a tablespoon of honey for a little bit of sweetness. And I'm going to basically let this sit for a few minutes and melt down until everything mixes together. All right, we've melted lovely. So I'm going to now add, I have half a tablespoon cognac. I'm going to go ahead and add that into it. I'm going to leave this aside now to wait until the cake is cooled, and then we can complete it all. It's gonna hot. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. That's good though. All right, so I've just pulled the cake out of the oven. While it's still warm, I'm gonna go ahead and brush on that citrus syrup. I'll brush it on, but I'm also gonna pour it just all over. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and pour the rest on. And I'm gonna go ahead and let that sit and cool completely. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start putting the chocolate glaze ganache on top of this cake. And then I'm gonna use a palette knife just to and then I'm going to go ahead and just peel, do a couple of little strips. It's like a little fire pit. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's it for the chocolate clementine cake. Can't wait to dig into it. Yum! Next, we're going to get started on making one of my treasured recipes, one of many, obviously, a lemon raspberry cupcake. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on making the cupcake batter. I have 1.5 blocks of butter I'm going to throw into the mixer. Get out. Thank you. And then I have 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm going to turn this on a low speed, and while this is slowly beating up, I'm going to get started on separating these 5 eggs. I'm using the egg whites for the cupcake batter, and the egg yolks will be for the raspberry curd filling that are going to be inside the center of the cupcakes. All right, I'm I'm gonna go ahead and add the 5 egg whites to the mixture now. I'm now going to zest in 2 of these lemons. There is 2 1/3 cups of cake flour. I'm gonna add half of it to the mixer now. With that, I'm gonna add 2 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Add the remaining flour. I'm now gonna go ahead and add in 1 cup of milk and give that a nice mix for a few minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my cupcake cases. I've gone ahead and put in here, it's a little kitchen hack for yourselves. I like to add about a teaspoon of dried rice to the bottom of each of these pans. So when you bake them, it basically prevents the bottom of the cases becoming oily. So yeah, kitchen hack by Molly. And I just thought I would go with the cutesy theme with the lemon raspberry. I was gonna do cute little pink polka dot cases. Scrape down the edges and do one final little mix with the spatula. I have the oven temperature preheated at 350 and I'm going to go ahead and bake these for about 15 to 20 minutes, checking them halfway to see how we're doing. All right, so as you can tell behind me, the cupcakes are out of the oven and they're cooling. So while that's happening, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on making the delicious raspberry curd filling that's gonna go in the center of these cupcakes. I have 8 tablespoons of butter. I have 1 full bag of frozen raspberries that I've just basically let slightly defrost. Oh, the juices. Then I'm gonna add 3/4 cup of sugar. Hello, there we go. Hey, what are you doing? Get out. I have 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Gonna add that in. Gonna add a pinch of salt. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add the zest of 1 lemon, because you can't go wrong with more lemon. So this recipe actually came, I started doing it originally back in the UK. I would make it with lemon curd filling. And I remember this one time, a client of mine who I'd said, I was like, gonna make these lemon cupcakes for her. She had mentioned that her and her husband love raspberries as well. And I was like, well, maybe I can try putting a raspberry curd in the center instead of a lemon. And lo and behold, it worked. So I'm gonna give that a nice mix. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision right now. Gonna go ahead and add in those 5 egg yolks now. Mix that in. All right, I'm gonna let that come to a boil now for about 5 to 10 minutes until it thickens. And basically the other hack, Molly hack over here, to know when a curd is cooked, basically when you have it on the back of your spoon, you should be able to like make an imprint and it won't seep down. It will keep the print mark that you made on the back of the spoon. Okay, you do your thing. I've brought the mixture up to a boil and I've let it cool slightly. I'm gonna go ahead and now strain it into another smaller pot and put it back on the heat for a further like 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour some of it in at a time. All right, we've strained everything out. It's much smoother now. I'm gonna go ahead and grab just 1 little tiny spoonful of the seeds. And then you could totally keep this. This is really perfectly edible. I would actually recommend it on yogurt. Do a spoonful of this on top of yogurt with some granola for breakfast. You'd be golden. And then there you go. There's the yummy, yummy curd. I'm gonna go ahead and hollow out the center of these cupcakes. Melon baller would be easier, but I'm gonna make shift with using a piping nozzle tip. So circle it, bring it around, and then it should just plop out. So then there's a little hole in the center that I will then put some curd inside of it. And I'm gonna just repeat. All right. Gonna go ahead and put in a teaspoon into each one. All right. Then I'm gonna go ahead. Gonna go ahead and put the lids on. Honestly, this guy is killing me. Don't push down too much. I'm gonna go ahead and put these to the side while I get started on making the delicious lemon buttercream. I have 16 tablespoons of softened butter. Gonna throw that into the mixer. Get in there. I'm gonna blend it for a few minutes just to soften it a little bit more before I add the 3 cups of icing sugar and the 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna add this in gently. Try not to make it go absolutely everywhere. And I'm gonna add the little heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna do my trick again. Sorry, people, camera, you're gonna hate this. So this helps prevent it from going poof and everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of lemon juice and the zest of just probably half this lemon. Final mix. Got a standard piping bag with just a regular round nozzle tip. Now we're gonna go ahead and ice the top of these and then garnish them with the lovely little raspberry. It's okay. Beep. There they are, the lovely lemon raspberry cupcakes. Ha! All right, we're gonna get started on another one of my delicious recipes, my spiced cranberry apple ham pies. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in 1 full bag of fresh cranberries that I got Thanksgiving, obviously when they were in season, and I froze them. So I'm gonna throw 1 of these into this pot. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get started on dicing up 4 of these apples. I got Granny Smith apples.
Why'd you pick Granny Smith?
Because I like the sharp tartness that these are, more so than a sweet, like apple. I like the sourness of this, and I like to add sweetness to the dish. With me. I started making ham pies one Thanksgiving. I was at a friend of mine's, and she had asked me to bring a dish, and I had some Granny Smith apples, and I had a bag of cranberries. And I was like, hey, why don't I give this a try? And I had a thing of puff pastry in my fridge, so I went ahead and gave these a whirl, and they ended up becoming the most popular thing that I make. And now every time there's ever an event, I'm always get asked to make them. I'm now gonna go ahead and add in about half a cup of sugar, white sugar. And then I'm going to use some of my Pride and Joy. This is my go-to, like, cinnamony, nutmeg, clove spice that I use for any apple dish, really, or anything altogether. It is Pasolovio's, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. It's their sugar and spice blend. It's truly incredible, and I'm a #1 fan of this. So I'm probably, unfortunately, going to finish the rest of this bag.
Where is it located?
They are located in Paso Robles, in California. They do online delivery. I'm gonna go ahead and also add in the juice of an orange, because the orange goes really nicely with the spices and the cranberry, and it gives it another flavor. And just for a little extra tart, I'm gonna go ahead and add in another half of a lemon. And I'm just rolling it because it actually helps release the juices. Probably regret doing this to grab all the seeds as much as I can. And then I'm going to bring this to a small boil and cook it down completely. It's come to a nice boil now. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cornstarch and water mixture to it. This will help thicken it up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off the heat and take it off and let it cool down to about room temperature. But it's thickened up really nicely.
Hand pies, take 3.
Roly poly oly, it's small and short and round, and in the land of da-na-na, the smallest kid around. He's roly poly, hooray, hooray! That's there you go.
Hand pies, take 3.
All right, we're gonna get started on assembling these babies. So you're welcome to spend all the time you want and make your own, but I don't want to do that, and I don't have the time for that. So I went ahead and bought some store-bought puff pastry. Still perfectly fine using this. No problem, no issue, nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it in half, and then cut it into 3. 1, 2, and then have these here. All right. Before I cut the lid, I'm gonna go ahead and spoon on the lovely mixture. I see you. Sorry, there's a fly. I'm gonna go ahead and probably put 2 tablespoons worth onto each one in the center.
What's your favorite kind of pie, Mom?
I think it's between pumpkin or pecan. If I could have both in one, I'd be frickin' set. That'd be my favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the lids now. Cut it in half again. And then that way, that way. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to brush the edges around all of the filling and then put the lid on top. So this helps seal it shut. So I like to just stretch it just a little bit to make it a little wider, because obviously it has to be able to go over the fruit. And then that way, crimp the edges, and then I just repeat. And then I'm going to basically press down all around the border of the entire ham pie to better seal it. I'm going to score 2 times across diagonally over the top. And then I have the oven temperature at 400 right now, and I'm going to bake it for probably about 20-25 minutes, checking it halfway to see how we're doing. Sprinkle on some cinnamon sugar over the top. And there they are. I'm going to go ahead and pop those in the oven for about 25 minutes. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dust these now with a little bit of icing sugar. Here they are. I'll meet you guys outside where we're going to dig into these treats. Yum!
Are you okay?
Yeah, I walked into the trash can. My favorite part. Cupcake time. I want to get the full effect. raspberry, the really light sponge. So good. Time for the chocolate clementine cake. Really good. It's very chocolatey, but it's very, very good. I really like the almond. It kind of has a mixture between cornbread meets just like an almond cake kind of thing. It's really good, coarse, delicious. Still really, it feels really light as well. All right, let's cut into this delicious ham pie. Not gonna brag, I actually do think the filling is the best I've ever made though. Hands down right now.
Not to brag.
Not to brag. Thanks for joining. Hope you guys enjoyed the sweet treats just as much as I did.